Such famous films as The English Patient, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Star Wars, and many more. The hand behind these productions belonged to Tarak Ben Ammar, one of the most influential names in Arab cinema and nephew to Tunisia's first president, Habib Bourguiba.
When I came back from university, Georgetown University, in 1970, I said, what could I do for myself? And at the same time, something for my country. And I chose films. I chose that this country was a natural set, and I was going to train myself and train thousands of young women and men from Tunisia to make movies. And that was the adventure of a dream come true. 35 years later, we're here in a studio that has employed probably over 35 years, more than 700,000 people making films, making culture, not making war. And all of this with no oil. Tunisia does not have oil.
No, it doesn't have natural resources like the rest of the Arab world. And Tunisia is passing through difficult times these days. I've talked to the youth, a lot of unemployed people, young people for 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 years not employed. So what are you doing about that?
In my little world, a film like this, Black Gold, shot between the south and the north in Tunisia, will employ maybe 60 to 70,000 people. Certainly over a period of 6 months, between building the sets, 2 years, and then shooting. It's not enough. What I did more, though, is I built studios. I built something like this that you can no longer build in any country. We have some of the largest sets in the world at cost. With a crisis today, the economic crisis, is that you can no longer build this. This would cost, this film in Hollywood would cost $120 million.
Is it cheaper in Tunisia?
Of course. I would not use the word cheaper, more economical. Because cheap thinks that it's cheap. No, this high level quality of sets and costumes. We've built for this movie 3,000 costumes. We've made with who? Local craftsmen.
How did you convince an international cast to come here to a country where big news all over for like the past weeks saying that there is unrest and riots in the streets?
Well, first of all, they've been here since October. So the riots started 3 weeks ago. And Tunisia is known to be a peaceful, moderate tourism, and I've been making movies for 35 years. I've had the biggest stars come to Tunisia, so it was not difficult. It was much more difficult 35 years ago to convince George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, and other people to come to a little country that had no means. Today, I'm known, Tunisia is easy. The fact that there's been this unrest, they know about it, but they feel very secure. I talk to them, I explain to them. I say that what's happening here is happening in other countries. They know, they come from democracies.
During the last few days of shooting, there was rioting in the town of Hammamat, just 2 kilometers away. But production continued and wrapped on schedule. Just 2 days after Ben Ali's presidency was itself wrapped by the people. During the weeks which followed, production continued in Qatar as planned, while Tunisians came to terms with life after Ben Ali. 3 months later, we revisited Ben Ammar to reflect on what has happened to his country and the implications for its film industry.
I gave the option to the actors. I said, it is my responsibility. If you feel you're unsafe and you want to leave, you can. They all decided to stay. They all felt that the Tunisian citizens that surrounded them, the extras, the crews, the actors, were so proud that these foreigners were there to live with them, this wonderful peaceful revolution, that it became a family. Antonio Banderas mentioned that he was 15 when Franco lost and when the dictatorship fell and democracy arrived. And he felt that it was that mood, a turning point in a people's experience that they lived. And their solidarity was so great that they didn't run away. Even though overseas the news was violence, revolution, pillage, they, being there, didn't see that. Certainly there was some pillage and some problems, but there was not that extreme violence, and civil society protected. And what was incredible is that the villages around our studios where we were shooting, the entire population who had been living of the studio for the last 25 years, I've employed hundreds of thousands of people. 2,000 of these young men and women came and protected the studios and the cast from eventual militia of Ben Ali who were looting and creating violence.
Meanwhile, Ben Ammar is already working on his next film. It will be about a young Tunisian whose name is now known throughout the Arab world. Yet 6 months ago, few outside his local neighborhood knew he even existed. Mohamed Bouazizi was an unlicensed fruit and vegetable seller trying to make a living amid desperate economic times in the city of Sidi Bouzid. When police tried to stop him trading, he turned his despair into protest by setting himself on fire. His subsequent death lit a fire among Tunisians, which smoked out the president and turned up the heat on other Arab leaders, from Egypt to Bahrain, Jordan to Syria, Yemen to Libya. At the Bouazizi family home, we found Ben Ammar's film director, Mohamed Zran, researching the story which will become the movie script.
The man is symbol for eternity, for all the world. For me, it's like it's more important than Mandela or Gandhi or Martin King.
We are not doing this for any profit. All the revenues of the movies will go to the family. Will go to the family, to a fund that they want to create to help other young men and women so that they would never have to burn themselves. He did not want to become a hero, and we make this film to show that there are so many other Bouazizis out there that we don't know their name, and there are 200 of them that died in Tunisia in different waves. Others burned themselves also. I think there are more than 20 young men burned themselves as an example of saying enough is enough. We no longer can stand this oppression, this corruption, this lack of understanding, this lack of communication, and this message woke up Tunisia.